Hello again, internets, World Wide Web, or wherever you're listening for your podcasts. We appreciate you tuning in. It is the Mike and Molson Too Good for Radio podcast, brought to you by your friends at Nugenics.
That's right. If you want to impress your lady by climbing to the top of Mount Everest and waving your flag, wink, wink.
Just planting your flag at her peak, if you know what I'm saying. And she'll like it too? Maybe? Probably not. Don't just go planting your flag in her peak without asking first.
This is turning out to be one of the deadliest years. It's tied, I think, for the deadliest year on Mount Everest. Right around May, June is Everest climbing time.
Is peak Everest season.
Yeah.
And so you need your Nugenics in your supplies in order to reach the summit, as it were. But yeah, a couple of stories coming out. I have one about a guy who did a Sherpa snub. If he did a Sherpa snub. Yeah. So
is that the latest dance on the dance floor?
Yeah. Apparently a Malaysian climber who goes by the name, I don't even know. Anyway, Ravi for short, was attempting to scale the world's tallest mountain when he fell dangerously ill and collapsed not far from the peak in Nepal. Incredible footage shows how...
Rhymes with nipple.
Nipple. So this footage shows this Sherpa wrapped the stricken mountaineer in a thick cover, hoisted him on his back, and painstakingly trudged through the snow to get him off the mountain to receive urgent medical treatment.
The video is incredible. The Sherpa essentially has him on a brace, like on a big wooden brace, strapped to his back.
And carries him off.
Walking with another couple hundred pounds on him.
What happened next caused an uproar in the mountaineering community when the rescued man allegedly dismissed the help he had been given and blocked his savior on Instagram.
I could have done it myself. I didn't need your help.
Raving himself as like this national hero and everything else, and he snubs the Sherpa. You can't snub a Sherpa. You can't do a Sherpa snub. And by the way, I love the fact that the Sherpa's on Instagram.
Yes.
That the Sherpa's always also on Insta.
Sherpa's big business.
It is.
That little community that's there is essentially, that's what these people do. There's a small town near base camp, or not near base camp, but at the foot of the mountain.
So describing the rescue on his Instagram page and posting a short video of how the climber was wrapped in an insulating cover, the Sherpa wrote him, "You may all be wondering, where is the summit photo? Unfortunately, no summit yet. At the balcony during our summit push, I saw someone in danger." So the Sherpa shared the thing, and the guy's like, "I didn't need your..." And eventually, it comes back because the internet is there to judge you, and rightfully so in this case.
Right.
To where he had to add as an addendum that, and a special shout out to the Sherpa who saved me. And everyone's like, "No, dude, you can't rewrite history like that." Remember we tried to call for a Sherpa one time when we were actually back on the radio before we got too good for it? And we weren't able to get in contact with a Sherpa, unfortunately.
Yeah, if you search for "I need a Sherpa to go up Mount Everest," there's a website and everything that'll help you find a Sherpa. Let me ask you something.
Okay.
Is climbing Mount Everest impressive anymore?
I don't think so.
I mean, it's impressive.
It is. It's impressive, but I don't.
But it's not that holy crap thing when every year there's a couple hundred or so that go up there. It's a big feat, but it's also one of those things where it's like, okay, others have done it, and it's like all the rockets that are launching. You go, okay, rockets, whatever.
It's like having a podcast, really. Right? It used to be something you're like, oh, you're on the cutting edge of technology.
Right.
Now, so many people do it that it's not quite as special anymore. But thank you for choosing this one.
Right now, and this was of a couple of weeks ago, they think there might be up to 17 dead people just this year.
Oh, good Lord.
From that, 12 have been confirmed, and there's another 5 who have been missing, and I can't get an update on that, which is matching in 2014. Now, here's the thing. They're saying climate change might be to blame for these deaths because the storms are getting hardier, and you can't predict the weather as much. BS.
BS, because I think here...
The deaths are being caused by idiots climbing Mount Everest.
Correct, because I was reading here in the Sherpa snub story where they average like 5 deaths a year, so they're way above average right now. Mm-hmm. And I guess not only is it the deaths, but it's also a bunch of trash now. Is up there.
Yeah, I mean that's the other crazy thing is because this is such a taxing thing, you just leave stuff behind. I mean, so there are tents and oxygen tanks, and dead people
and sanitary pads. apparently someone is saying as well.
Well,
And
yeah,
it's just-
this. I mean, just getting to base camp is a 2-week journey, and then it's another month or so, maybe 2 months to get up to the top.
Who has that kind of vacation time?
Yeah, apparently a lot of people. 'Cause remember,
Idiots.
A few years ago, and now it's been every year since then. There's always that picture of this traffic jam of
Yes.
people waiting to get to the top, take your selfie, and now go back down the other end, and it's bananas.
I would have zero patience.
Yeah.
If you happen to make it, and I understand you want a photo of it, but having a photo shoot at the top of Everest, knowing I could die at any moment, I'd be like, hey, one photo and get the hell off the top.
Yeah, and this is the death zone up at the top of this thing where, I mean, you've only got an hour or so to pull this thing off before you get up, you go down.
By the way, anything that includes
I know.
death zone in it, why the hell is that a vacation or somewhere you want to visit?
Here's the thing: you just took a flight overseas, right?
Yes.
Okay, and
I
you
did to Japan.
and you looked out the window, right? You saw some pretty cool stuff.
We saw the summit of Mount Fuji from the airplane.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
You're satisfied, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't need to go up there myself.
You're higher than it.
Correct.
Yeah, I can right now get in a plane higher than Mount Everest.
And I can laugh and look down at these idiots who are using all this manpower.
Plenty of oxygen. I'm not going to die. I'm not throwing an oxygen tank just floating around out there. There's nothing. There's nothing up there. There's nothing up there.
No, I think it's fine to say I climbed Everest if you go up, I don't know, 50 steps and go, hey, I climbed Everest.
That counts.
I did. You climbed it.
Yeah.
You didn't get to the peak, but I can still say I climbed Everest. And these dopes are up there dying and making these Sherpas carry them on their back.
Right, yeah, and the Sherpas don't get any credit for it, and it's just leave the mountain alone, man.
Yeah,
that mountain has been through a lot.
Yeah.
And now it's got dead people all over it,
And
garbage,
trash and everything
sanitary
else.
napkins.
No one needs that.
And it's just like leave the damn mountain alone.
Yeah. What did it ever do to
It's
you?
got there's 100. I can go online. I can see 100 pictures of it right now.
Nothing
there's
you're doing-
Else. There's
yeah.
nothing. There's no reason to be up there.
Yeah, nothing
No
you're
reason
doing is
up
going to be
there.
more special than what other people have already
Yeah,
done.
just knock it off. Knock it off.
By the way, Sherpa snub seems like it'd be a pretty good insult. And I don't know if it makes this list that you have from Webster's.
Right, and this is volume 3, so I don't know if we've missed other volumes here, but Merriam-Webster has a list of rare and amusing insults. For example,
Awesome. Use these in this weekend or whenever you're listening to this podcast.
what do you suppose somebody who is pestiferous?
That means they're annoying as all get out.
Yeah, well, it means that they're dangerous to society.
Oh, wow. You're rather pestiferous.
Yeah.
Use that and see what people say. That's the best thing about some of these.
Has a number of definitions. None of them are complimentary. In addition to dangerous society, it might mean carrying or propagating an infection, infected with pestinal disease.
I sure like it too.
Yeah.
That's why he takes some eugenics to clear up that pestinal disease.
Or simply annoying and troublesome.
Okay. I like that.
Natiform.
Natiform?
Yeah.
That seems like someone named Natalie's annoying.
It means you resemble buttocks.
You look like, instead of saying to someone, man, you look like ass, you can be like, poof, you're looking a little natiform today.
Yeah, exactly.
Julie.
Bubber.
Bubber? That seems like something that look like butt, but what's bubber?
A bubber is someone who steals plates and tableware from a restaurant. You know, people who like
Put them in your purse. Put them in your purse.
Throw a fork in their pocket for some reason.
Don't be a bubber.
Apparently, bubber has never caught on. It was used in the 17th and 18th centuries. The 11th is a bubber, used much of late. He goes to alehouse and steals their plate, is a poem from Richard Head in, I beg your pardon,
Sure like it too.
in 1673.
Don't be a naniform bubber.
Muscad.
Oh, that seems like someone who smells like fish.
You're not far. This is basically anyone who wears too much cologne or perfume.
Okay, makes sense. And Musk is in the title there.
So you're at the club there, and somebody walks by just drenched in Axe. Is a muscad.
He is a muscad. That is, I've never heard something so fitting. That
Yeah.
muscad over there.
This one kind of sounds like what it is. A cacinator.
A what-nator?
A cacinator
Was Richard Head one of those?
is someone who laughs loudly or immoderately.
Okay. You know what? I hope he's not listening, but my brother-in-law is a cacinator.
Is he?
Yeah. Just very loud. And he is, if you ever were to be a stand-up comedian, you'd want him in the audience. He's an easy laugher.
Women on at a bridal party at a bar
Yes.
are cacinators.
They're a bunch of cacinators.
Yeah.
Muscad walks by, they start cacinating all over the place.
You cacinated.
You cacinated.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry about that.
I gotta change my pants. How about a twaddler? And she'll like it too.
A twaddler. It's a twaddler related to a cacinator?
No.
Does a cacinator lead to a twaddling?
It's
a good cacinate and lead to a twaddling?
Silly idle talk or writers you don't much care for. You know,
you got no use for twaddlers.
Mm-hmm.
Or
a snudge is a miser.
Okay.
Or really just anyone you don't like.
So someone who doesn't tip is a snudge.
A snudge.
Yeah. Don't be such a snudge over there.
Yeah.
You know who you are.
It can be used as a verb with further variety of uncomplimentary meanings. To be stingy. Stop snudging that guy.
Quit snudging him over there.
I totally saw you snudge the busboy. What?
I don't think you can do that.
So there you go. That's at least volume 3. Maybe I'll try to find volumes 1 and 2 for future episodes.
Yeah, muscad, snudge. I like that. Nanoform, was that the butt-looking one?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Make sure you try to use that at some point over the next couple of weeks before the next podcast comes out. Moving on, there was a shakedown. There was panhandler on panhandler crime.
No kidding.
In this particular story. Man and woman have been charged with multiple felonies after they allegedly used the threat of force to take panhandling money from another couple. 32-year-old Carla DeVinny of Bannock County and 28-year-old Devon Farmer of Fort Hall have each been charged with felonies for robbery and conspiracy robbery, court records show. This all happened in Chubbuck, by the way. Chubbuck police responded to a call reporting a robbery at a convenience store.
I was slow dancing with that girl, and I suddenly got a Chubbuck.
Caca, whatever it was going on. My muscad was feeling a little,
I wonder if her twaddle knew that I was having a Chubbuck.
That's a whole
There's
song.
nothing dirty about what I just said, but it sounds offensive, doesn't it?
It really does. Twaddling. Don't be twaddling the Chubbuck.
God almighty.
The Chubbuck police will find that the twaddling going on. So they responded to a call reporting a robbery at a convenience store on Yellowstone Avenue around 4 p.m. on May 22nd. The caller followed the alleged perpetrators to a bus stop. There, officers found 2 people matching the descriptions provided by the victims and apprehended them for questioning. Other officers spoke with victims at the convenience store. The victims told officers they'd been panhandling when a man later identified as Farmer approached their vehicle and pushed a Sharpie pen into the driver's throat. Farmer demanded the victims give him all the money they had made while panhandling.
Yeah, or I'll draw a curly Q mustache on your face and it won't wash off.
He told victims, I'll draw a twaddler on there. He told the victims they were, quote, on his turf, and if they continued to panhandle there, they would be forced to pay him 50% of their earnings.
It's like a syndicate. It's like a panhandler syndicate going on.
Exactly. A woman later identified as DeVinny then walked up to the...
Nice cardboard box you got here. It'd be a shame if something happened to it, huh?
Hate if I would add a, apostrophe S to your sign over there. Making it sound foolish. A woman later identified as DeVinny walked up to the victim in the passenger seat, allegedly opened the door and demanded the passenger's purse. The victim said DeVinny took loose change, a cell phone, and an ID from the purse. So this couple was panhandling, go back to their car to take a break, and that's when Ford and DeVinny come in here with their Sharpie and demand some money. DeVinny read the address and the ID aloud and told the victims she would come to their home and kill them if they called police.
Good Lord.
I see you live here, although you're panhandling. I see you have a place of residence, and I'm going to come to that place of residence, and you keep panhandling here, I'm going to kill you. The female victim told officers she was highly concerned regarding the threat, of course. The female said she wasn't certain how much change DeVinny took.
Right.
And guessed it was around 75 cents. So it was a shakedown for 75 cents. Officers asked the victim, who had been in the driver's seat, if he required medical assistance for his throat. He said his throat was sore to the touch, but he did not require any emergency service.
Yeah, got a little buzz from the Sharpie smell.
Yeah, the manager of the convenience store told police that the area was not covered by the store's surveillance system. Meanwhile, the officers who had detained Davinian Farmer found Farmer in possession of a Sharpie.
Wow.
And that's what it all went back
to. Traced it back with the DNA or something.
Yeah.
It's got this guy's throat DNA on it.
There's twaddler all over it. So
you're going to say that all day, aren't you?
I am. I'm going to be twaddling and with muscods all day long. So there was panhandler on panhandler crime, ladies and gentlemen.
Hell hath no fury like a woman scorns.
Correct.
Goes the expression.
We always love a good story like this in the Too Good for Radio podcast.
Melody Sasser has been arrested and because she allegedly wanted to murder the wife of somebody she met on Match.com.
Okay. So why is the person on Match.com if they have a wife already?
That's a whole other soap opera that doesn't really get into.
Okay.
Melody Sasser met this guy on Match.com, became hiking friends.
Okay.
But when Sasser's Match revealed he was moving out of state with the woman he planned to marry, she allegedly went to the dark web to find
How's that a thing?
Killer. The dark web?
Yeah. How does one get to the dark web?
I have no idea.
Is an extra W in there somewhere, or do you do // twaddle?
We hear about it.
Sorry, I'm just going to throw it in here. The rest of the podcast.
We hear about it, but I have no idea. I don't know what I don't know what the entry is.
Nor do I want to.
Yeah.
Please don't let us know.
So Melody goes to the dark web.
Okay.
To a site called Online Killers Market.
That's a little on the nose.
Where you get your killers.
Wouldn't you have a better name than the dark web?
Because we've asked that question before. Is where do you go to get a hitman? I have no idea even where you start asking.
Shouldn't you have something more of dark web florist?
Right.
There
should be a front.
Right. There should be a front instead of onlinekillers.com.
So she transferred $10,000 in Bitcoin to someone at Online Killers, and she says, I love how sloppy she is. She says the following. It needs to seem random or an accident or plant drugs. Don't want a long investigation.
Is that why you go to the dark web?
And I guess she posted this on onlinekillers.com or whatever the hell that was, and left a post up there. So it's like she's auditioning. She's like, okay, I'm just looking for someone. Here's what I need. I got some leaves in the backyard I need you to clean up.
Isn't most of, and I don't know because I haven't dabbled in this nor would ever want to, but isn't the reason why you would go to the dark web to off someone a fact that you want to make it look not like a murder?
Right. I would imagine.
Is that inherent by going to the dark web?
I think professional hitmen understand that
they want want discretion.
That's part of it. It's not
you want to be discreet.
Right. I guess this woman back in 2022 had shown up at the couple's house and knocked on their door and said, I hope you both fall off a cliff and die.
That seems made up.
Around that time, the soon-to-be wife of the man said she had matched with, reported that both sides had their car gashed by an unknown perpetrator. And the woman also began receiving threatening calls from untraceable numbers.
Jesus.
Sasser allegedly provided the would-be killer with detailed information about the wife, which included where she lived, where she worked, the car she drove. She also purportedly passed along specific information about the intended victim's whereabouts. Yesterday, she worked from home and then went for a 2-mile walk by herself. This is your chance.
Who has that kind of time?
And the authorities later said that they confirmed via a hiking app that the information Sasser provided to Online Killers Market was accurate.
Online Killers Market.
And then she started complaining. Where do you go to complain if your hitman doesn't actually?
True. Is there a contact us part of that?
So apparently she then posted and said, hello, I have waited for 2 months and 11 days and the job is not done. What is the delay? Can I speak to the manager here?
Of Online Killers Market. Maybe Online Killer Market has no killers whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because it's so obvious, it's just a front to launder money.
I transferred my $10,000 in Bitcoin. This is not the kind. I am going to Yelp, and I'm going to tell people, do not use you any longer.
0 stars, would not use again. Person still alive.
I am totally going to wreck you on social media.
Yikes.
So I guess they finally arrested her, and she's due to appear in federal court.
Thank God. So, speaking of people going after someone else who is attached, here is a thirsty Dear Prudie that I happened upon. So this one starts, a couple of years ago, I attended an out-of-state conference with a married male coworker. During conversation, we discovered that we had a lot in common, such as where we went to school, political orientation, and favorite books and movies. One night, we ended up as the last 2 of our group in the hotel bar before it closed. I asked him if he would like to grab a few beers and continue our conversation upstairs in my room. He said, quote, "Oh, I couldn't do that. I'm married. I can't disrespect my wife by being in a woman's hotel room." That was the only time I've ever given an opening like that to a straight guy who declined. So this woman thinks a lot of herself. Like I offered and he said no, the first time ever.
And I like her immediate thing is like, I bet he's really gay.
Right, exactly. He graciously allowed me to laugh it off, and we have managed to remain appropriately friendly ever since.
Okay.
Fast forward 2 years, his wife has died tragically young after a short battle with cancer. Without putting too fine a point on it, I want to marry and have babies with this man who is unwilling to risk even the appearance of impropriety by visiting another woman's hotel room. Integrity and faithfulness like that are worth more than diamonds, and he is handsome, smart, and kind. So how do I approach him before any other predatory female does, and how soon is too soon? Thirsty. There's a lot to unpack there, right?
Yeah, and she's confident that she can reel him in.
Oh, big time, because
she just wants to get there first.
In the first part of the letter, it goes, "It's the first time anyone's ever turned down coming back to my hotel room that they weren't gay." And now fast forward 2 years, and I am going to put my... And I love how she says, before any other predatory. You're kind of being predatory.
So, well, yeah, she knows. But if you're the guy and you already know this woman has a flawless record of getting men to come back to her hotel room, doesn't that send up a flag?
Well, he doesn't know for certain that. Yeah. She just puts it in this Dear Prudie. At the time, she offered, and he said, hell no, I can't do that. Rightfully so. Yeah. You should not ever do that. He goes, I can't go to another woman's room when I'm married on a business trip. That's just not the way to go. And then she adds, well, it's the first time ever someone had turned me down like that if they weren't gay. And so then 2 years later, she finds out the wife is, they stayed appropriately friendly. Yeah. And then 2 years later, wife's dead. And now she's like, I want to marry him and have babies.
Right. She does a little thirsty. Like your wife is dead and does a little happy dance.
Yeah. She's doing the happy dance. Exactly. Now my chance to run in. So she's asking Dear Prudie, how do I go about getting him and when's too soon?
I don't know. I mean, there are some people who would like their spouse dies and it's like, I'm just not doing this again. That was just too much. And so I don't know what the appropriate amount of time is. Her approach is so off-putting.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Her thirsty approach is just like, you can't and she didn't just start with like, I'd like to maybe, take it further, pick up where we left off. Mm-hmm. It's, I want to have babies with this man.
Yeah.
It's like,
this is the last decent guy left on Earth. Yeah. And I am going to put my claws into him.
Exactly. So twaddle me, please. So here's what Dear Prudie has to say.
It's starting to get funny again. You've turned the circle.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, stop it. It's not funny. Now it's coming back.
I waited 5 minutes and now it's back. So here's what Prudie has to say to all this. She says, maybe you should lay off this grieving widower because your need to reproduce with him before the other predatory females get their claws in makes me shudder. You don't say how long ago his wife died, but probably it's a good idea to wait until she's cold before you start sending out your engagement party invitations. If you're friends with this man, you send a condolence note, put out of your mind that you're about to make a move, and stay friends and stay in touch. If he's interested, that will become clear when he's ready. If you really have respect for this man, you respect his loss and his grief. And I think Prudie's right on. Dead on.
You probably do have to wait for him to make the move, right?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, you can maybe suggest that, hey, I am here for you, right? I am here for you. But he has to make the decision. It's grief is just such a weird thing, and everyone processes it differently. But you can't just go and be like sending him, nudie pics and be like, hey,
right.
I'm available.
Or when you're in the receiving line at the wake, you shake his hand and say, I'm so sorry for your loss, and I'm really, really into you. This is now. We got to do this now.
Yeah, you can't do that either. You can't be like, remember that night at the hotel? Well, now you can come up to the room without it. You can't do that. You just can't do that.
Yeah, and maybe, God, she might be in the friend zone.
She could be.
How devastating would that be?
Oh my God, this lady seems like someone who has never been there done that.
Yeah, it's one thing to be turned down for just a random one-nighter.
Because he's married.
Right.
But to then be in the friend zone, oh God.
But this has gone on for long enough where it's like, it's like my sister. You're weird.
Yeah, that would be a fate worse than death for this woman. Yeah, if like after 2 years, he just sees her as a friend, and if like he comes to he consoles on her or whatever or whatnot, and she just has to be that friend that he cries. Yeah. Oh, she would hate every part of that.
Finally, here on the old Sex and Poo podcast.
That's right.
We've got some nudists, surprise nude.
Some dongage going on.
Yeah, everything. Dongage and floppage and boobage, the whole thing.
Okay.
So there you are, sitting with your family in a nice little British pub called The Railway in Burnham-on-Sea, minding your own business.
Everything is either on or has a shire at the end.
Yeah. When suddenly a couple of nudists, a man and woman, show up in their nude and just sit down and order a hamburger.
Yeah, I got no use for. We've always talked about it. There's good nude and bad nude, but I got no use for nude eating.
Nuden food?
Nuden food?
Come over to the Nuden food.
The Nuden food. It's a new German restaurant.
So they're at the Railway pub when Danielle Quiggin and Neil Cox walk up appropriately, head to toe, not a stitch of clothes on, and say, "Table for two, please."
Now, is it okay to be nude in England like that?
Well, that's what's interesting. Is the whoever was at the taking the reservation says, let me find it here. It says the staff checked the employee handbook and couldn't find anything specifically addressing nudists.
Okay.
And so led them to their table.
All right.
And that's when people took to TripAdvisor and Yelp and everything and were completely offended. We expected the barman to refuse to serve them. There were several families with children in the pub, including ourselves. Therefore, it was not appropriate for them to be served.
I was going to say, if you're just sitting there minding your own business, and all of a sudden a couple of nudists come in, first of all, what are you doing, nudists, walking into a fully clothed place? You got your own places. I'm not trying to be, anti-nudist, but they've got their own clubs.
Right.
Right?
I think so.
And so they can have their meals there. What are you doing walking into that place?
We decided to leave the pub and find somewhere else for dinner in town. Unfortunately, another family was not able to. They'd already ordered their food. If you advertise as a family pub, you should maintain these values.
You don't have to look, though, either.
Customer named Sarah posted, appalling! If you want to go to a family pub with average food and staff serving a naked man accompanied by a naked woman, then this is a place for you. I, however, am outraged.
I love how they throw shade at the food now, too.
Right.
Just because the nudists were allowed to eat there, it's like, the food is average, and the dong size was that as well.
I like this reviewer. EuroEXP123 says, we found the food and staff pleasant. We went for a second time last night and were shocked to see a naked couple arrive and be served. I heard one customer mention this to the staff, as other people have said. The staff seemed unconcerned. We will not be going again.
How much? Okay, let me throw this out there. You don't have to look at them, correct? Like, you can just carry on a conversation. And two, how much of the nude are you actually seeing if they're sitting at a table?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's exactly. Right.
I mean, you're seeing breasts, obviously, of the woman, unless she's got her napkin around her chest, like you should, because you're, eating. Unless she's putting it on her lap. I mean, either way, even if they're at the high chair at the bar, what are you actually seeing?
Now, to the credit of Neil Cox, the male nudist, he says he called ahead, said, "Hey, we're nude." And that's when the staff said they researched the rules on naturism and took the booking and said, you know what? On second thought, this is probably a good learning experience for our staff. That even though it's not explicitly in the rule book.
Now I don't feel so bad because I thought for certain that Cox and whatever is going on.
Danielle.
Food and Newton. I thought they were just doing it to prove a point, but they phoned ahead. So they were doing their due diligence, I guess.
He said they had been in Bristol on Thursday evening enjoying a naked drink in the pub in the city and walking on Clifton Downs around the harbour side. During our break, we were naked most of the time. Where I live, there are shops, grocery stores, and pubs, and I go in regularly. I'm a naturist.
People know this guy.
We don't think the reaction on TripAdvisor was reflective of what actually happened in the pub. It was a new place and people were not expecting it, and there was an element of surprise when we first walked in.
Yeah, you think so? You're not expecting that.
We sat in the corner of the pub, had our meal. People quickly went back to their drinks and on with their day. After all, two naked people sitting in a corner of a pub having a beer becomes boring. Several people came over and they wanted to chat and request a photo.
Would you be one of those people?
Yes. Can I get a selfie?
Can I get a selfie with the nudes?
Hey, Neil Cox, come on over here.
Come over here.
So yeah, that's I guess there are places in England where there's all kinds of nudity going on the beach, and they just walk around town swinging and bouncing. Like
doing their thing.
Nothing's going on, but I can understand why that would be a little off-putting, sitting there.
Yeah,
having an awesome blossom onion ring,
and the next thing you know is just the nude shows up. Yeah, I'm going to do the thing, to each their own, but it's definitely would be taken aback if you see it. But at least they sat him in a corner, and like I said, you don't have to look.
Mr. Cox, would you like your Nugenics before or after your meal?
She'll like it
because she'll like it too.
Nice. I got a double order of bangers and mash going on here. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will...
That's all we got for you.
Yep, we'll twaddle up this podcast and Muscat on our way out of here.
So long, everybody.